everybody. It's Astro Detectives time. This is the show where we try to match our guests to their correct birth chart. As always, we have two charts to choose from, and today our guest is either an Aries or a Taurus. I'm Scott, a skeptic of astrology, and I'm joined by my co-host and professional astrologer, Sarah Hartshorn. Sarah, how does an Aries compare with a Taurus?
Well, they are kind of different, Scott, but they are the two first signs of the zodiac. Aries is a fire sign. It's very much about urgency and immediacy and taking risks. I feel like we've had a lot of like Aries charts this season. Not always the guest was an Aries, but it's just interesting that one keeps coming up. But yeah, so Aries, fire sign, a cardinal sign, meaning it is very much about initiating, taking action, diving in head first, very passionate. Whereas Taurus, each sign kind of like tries to maybe do something different or kind of correct or balance out for the previous sign. So Taurus slows things down. It's very about taking its time and enjoying. It's an earth sign, so it's very earth oriented. It's about the material plane. It can enjoy it's very sensual. They like to use their five senses. It's very pleasure focused, material stability, food, resources. That is what Taurus is all about, the zodiac sign. But one interesting thing I just want to point out about these two charts is well, first of all, I will just let everybody know if you want to see the full charts, you can go to AstroDetectivesPod.com, and we have the charts available in whole sign or Placidus. You can download those. And if you want to unlock all the birth details and plug and play with your favorite system, you can sign up for our Patreon, right, Scott?
That's right.
Yeah.
You're just taking the lead on this one. You just keep on rolling.
Sorry about that. I got excited.
You're inhibited by inhabited? You've got Aries energy right now. Yes. You're just go, go, go. And I'm just here. I'm going to play the Taurus this episode. I'm just going to be enjoying the experience. And you know what? I'm enjoying listening to you promote our Patreon, which we definitely could use. So continue, Aries.
Okay. So our Aries chart is actually a full moon baby. So that means they have their moon in Libra, and they have a Capricorn rising. And so I thought that was interesting, a full moon chart. And then our Taurus chart has a Taurus moon. So that means they're a new moon baby. So we've got full moon versus new moon here. And the Taurus is also a Gemini rising. And so, I just think it's pretty interesting. So like someone who born under the new moon, that moon energy is really infused into their sun, which is the kind of their emotions. Their moon is really part of their identity, their sun. And so they can be a little bit more subjective. They can be more nurturing, sensitive, creative, reflective. They over-identify with their feelings. Whereas a full moon baby, that means their sun is opposing their moon. And they can be more objective and more interested in scientific subjects and nonfiction. And they are they can kind of look at their emotions more objectively and rationally. And so I just thought that was really interesting, those two different lunations there.
Well, I'm going to be focused on the basics of the sun sign. That's the way that we have it designed. So I'll be looking for a go-getter or a stop and enjoyer. And Sarah, is there any line of questioning or anything in particular that you think you might be wanting to focus on to separate these two charts from each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much that I kind of want to hone in on whether this is more of a subjective person or an objective person.
Subjective or objective? I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah, subjective means that you really have more of a your point of view is really filtered through your emotional experience. Whereas objective means, like the objective truth, more scientific or, kind of like that. So subjective, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There will be a quiz at the end of this, everyone. Leave it in the comments. No, but leave in the comments what you will be looking for. And then during the episode, let us know if you're leaning one way or the other. Lock in your vote. And then we'll all see at the end of the episode if we're correct. But if there's nothing else, Sarah, we're going to return with our guest and see if they're an Aries or a Taurus right after this break. Hey, listeners, we're not just a podcast that tests astrology. We're an independent detective agency. That means we rely on you to help us keep the show running.
Exactly. By joining AstroDetectives on Patreon, you can support our mission to finally prove astrology is real.
Or, completely debunk it.
Here we go again.
One thing we can agree on, AstroDetectives is the only place you'll find astrologers and skeptics working together, like a buddy cop movie you didn't know you needed.
And trust me, detective work takes time, gathering evidence, late night stakeouts, solving cases, especially when Mercury's retrograde.
Okay, you can't blame Mercury.
The first step is easy and free. Just follow Astro Detectives on Patreon to get access to our debrief episodes where the conversation continues after each case ends. We break down what went right and what went wrong.
And if you want to fast track your training, become a rookie detective for only $3 a month. You'll unlock exclusive bonus episodes, plus early releases and the top secret case files sent straight to your inbox.
Or for just $1 a month, we'll make you an Astro intern. No compensation per se, but hey, you'll gain valuable detective experience and that warm, fuzzy feeling knowing you're helping us keep the lights on.
So if you like what we're doing and want to support us, head over to patreon.com/astrodetectives and join the investigation today. Welcome back, everybody. We are joined with our guest this week. It's Christine. Welcome to Astro Detectives.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're very happy to have you. Hopefully our audience has gone to astrodetectivespod.com and looking at the two birth charts. So during the interview, they can be comparing notes and figuring out which way they're leaning. First place, I always like to start. Where are you joining us from today?
I am in North Adams, Massachusetts.
All right.
Nice.
On the
Western
East Coast.
Mass. Yeah. It's very dark.
Oh, okay. We noticed you're originally from Long Beach. Anything bringing you from West Coast to East Coast, or what was that transition like?
we lived in San Pedro, and I was born in Long Beach. We were there for a year, and I've been on the East Coast pretty much ever since, but
Okay.
all along.
All right. So you identify with being an East Coaster.
Yeah.
All right. What is it that you do for work, or what have you always typically been good at? Is there a string of careers that have some commonality or anything like that?
Yeah. So I thought always that I was going to be an artist, and I went to art school, and then I did a creative pivot and got an MFA in poetry. And then I became a higher ed administrator because, there's not a lot you can do with a poetry MFA.
Except write really well, and then maybe administration needs better writers. They need more colorful language.
I think so. A little more humanity in there. I mean, I spend I write policy and handbooks, and but I like, I think that policy is better delivered with a little texture, a little a bit of a gentle touch. So I've always liked to kind of massage words and help people, just kind of soften the bureaucratic machine.
And were you, I think you said as a child you always were interested in art from the very beginning. Not so much poetry that early on? Or words, the importance of words?
A little, yes, it was always there. And even the way that I liked to play was I liked naming things. So that was always there. But I think that the reality that hit me in art school was the art market and things. I went to my first art fair in New York and thought it was repulsive. I just was like, this is not a real experience of art. I abandoned it, but so great news is I still make art and I still write and still have, I've professionalized as a poet.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just going to say, when you said you like naming things, can you talk about that or what an example of that?
Yeah. So sorry, my cat needs to get down.
And we're fine with it. If a cat wants to pass in front of the screen, that is part of the show.
She was moving the laptop a little bit.
What's your cat's name?
Fiona. Which, interestingly, even I get a lot of pleasure from naming things, but that was her shelter name, and I just couldn't change that. It just was her. But yeah, so I would this seems like a very strange activity and a strange confession. I remember I would lay a quilt out and I would name all of the quilt squares.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And I would name, I remember also running around with a spray bottle and just spraying it in the air and naming, pretending like I was just misting fragrance everywhere and naming the scent. And it felt like, so naming things was really a response. And of course I loved naming my stuffed animals, but naming things felt like a way to, I was thinking a lot about color and texture and almost a sort of synesthetic kind of weaving together of sort of sensory associations, and putting language to that was
I love it.
Oh, when you're looking at the squares, are you naming them like human names, or are you coming up with new words entirely, or how does that naming process work?
This is such an interesting thing to talk about because it's like something I never talk about. And then I'm getting these probing questions about something that I did when I was, 8, 9, 10.
That's what we're here for.
That's exactly what our show is about. You can only hear it here, folks.
So, yeah, I remember, so not maybe occasionally inventing a word if it felt like it had some, almost like an onomatopoeia, something that sort of sounded like something particular, like something could be glubby, which seems like you kind of get what glubby might mean. Like glubby, it seems kind of yellow, kind of fatty, kind of, but that's sort of how my brain works with language. There's these associate, I mean, and that's why I think poetry made a lot of sense to me to use words in a way that, I'm not constructing an argument. So these were not human names, maybe some invented words, but lots of flavors and moods. Like something could be like glubby butterscotch wave.
I love it.
And you can kind of get a sense of what that quilt square might have looked like.
That's like one of those password generators that just brings 3 random words, and I think of them together, and suddenly it creates a vibe.
Totally. Or a lot of the auto-generated Reddit usernames are kind of great that way. Like, unsuspecting rabbit.
We know what's about to happen to that rabbit.
That's really interesting. Thank you for expanding on that.
And then can you speak to how language, it's interesting how it kind of breathes life into everyday, I guess, life. The way that you talk about something creates like a certain feeling around it or an importance to it, as opposed to it just existing. It's like just the way that we name things kind of makes them unique and special. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that?
Where to start? I mean, I think about this a lot and have thought about. I mean, on one level, there's a whole field of the cognitive linguistics, which deals with meaning making and language and I think a lot about the experience of being a human and how much language is a part of that, and what would anything be without the kinds of distinctions and the sort of human tendency to categorize and make meaning, but also I think even the way I speak, I feel much more articulate in written form when the words feel tangible and I can kind of place them one in front of the other. When words are more material, I think I'm much better with writing than I am at speaking. But my experience of words also feels so physical and so much like as I'm speaking now, I feel like I'm just sort of grabbing, I don't know, just grabbing things from a sort of material space.
You have unlimited words just hovering around you, and you're like, that one, let me get that one. I still remember the age, like when I was a child and I'm associating words with objects, like that's a dog, just, it sounds like dog. Okay. Very kind of a rough, no pun intended, like just kind of gruff word matches this animal. And then you find out that there's all of these other languages around, and pretty nearby, they've decided that same animal is a perro. And that's totally different than dog, but it still, I guess, fits, but it sounds like a completely different experience.
And very possibly changes, from language to language, changes a person's experience of an object or an animal or a person. I mean, even in our names, I think that there's some evidence that certain people with certain names might be treated differently or have a kind of self-image that's based on their name.
Yeah. So do you think you would be a different person if you weren't named Christine and you grew up as Christine?
Yeah, I think that that's true. Although my relationship with my own name is kind of funny. It feels like a funny name for it. To me, it sounds like a cheerleader or I don't know. It's kind of normie. It's kind of suburban. It's yeah, it feels like a funny name, but I like it. I wouldn't want to change it. I've tried to embody it somehow.
I guess early on, what kind of a kid were you? What was young Christine like? If not a cheerleader, it sounds like, if that didn't fit.
No, but active.
Yeah.
Definitely active. Running around outside a lot. Active, pretty adventurous, would eat any kind of food, was always excited about traveling. I was excited about moving. I was, I think I was kind of adventurous and love being in the sun. Pretty happy.
Mm-hmm. Any siblings?
Yes. One brother, 10 years older.
Okay. So you were like the little sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And can you kind of describe your relationship with your parents and maybe what they did for a living, or if they were full-time at home?
They worked all the time. And when they were home, they were talking about work. They were definitely kind of like 90s, like, that sort of Clinton, like Bush and Clinton era prosperity, like boomers who came from pretty humble families, but then did well in the 90s, climbing the corporate ladder. And then, I felt like a little bit like a latchkey kid. They were working a lot, but good, nice people. Uncomplicated relationship with them until I was a very rebellious teen.
Anything in particular that would kind of instigate that, or where was that coming from, and what kind of rebellion was it?
I just didn't. We were living in the suburbs in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I didn't. I had a really strong sort of reaction to my overcrowded school. I think it started with, I guess it started with, hanging out with a few sort of bad kids and smoking weed and going to class less, but also I had this kind of classic, like, this is they're just, what are they training us for? This is bullshit. Am I allowed to?
Yes. Speaking of fun words, they're all allowed here. You can use any of them that you want to use.
This isn't radio. So yeah, it was, it was kind of it was just a classic sort of teenager acting out. But I started going less and less, and then I started going to raves, and the drugs got more interesting, and and the people got more interesting. And yeah, I dropped out of high school and I moved out.
Oh, that's exciting. That where you were like bored with the life before, and you were just searching for something more, or what was that?
Exactly. Yeah, it was a mix of anger that you don't know what to do with when you're a teenager. Just anger when you start realizing what the world is, and you just start getting mad about things. And so a mix of anger and boredom, definitely boredom. I knew I wanted some bigger adventure, and I sort of fantasized about this magical place where all the artists and musicians and writers were friends and had fabulous parties. I had this fantasy that I was chasing, but the closest approximation was a warehouse party, and then clubs eventually. But then later, I found out there are these cultural centers. There are these cities where actually the artists and writers and musicians do hang out and have a great time and have fabulous parties. And I found that much later, the version that I think I wanted, but just wasn't available. So yeah, I think just dancing the night away with whoever was frequenting those places was the closest I could find.
And that probably didn't create any conflict with your parents at the time, right?
Yeah, no, that very, very much a time of conflict with my parents that we've gotten over, and occasionally still with sort of snide comment about how much trouble I gave them. I did. I was terrible. I was not. I do not. I do not wish for. I have a child who is 10, and I hope that she's different.
Well, let's see. So today, that was you rebelling early on. Today, how would like friends or family describe you if we had them and we're asking them?
I'm pretty social, and I think I have a lot of presence when I enter a room. But some of it is anxious. I have sort of like a talkative kind of anxious energy. If someone lets me, I can definitely monologue. Sort of sometimes if it's sort of like neurotic, anxious, like sort of Woody Allen style monologue. Mm-hmm. But it takes me kind of a minute to get to that place of that's the people who know me well. I tend to, in settings with new people, or I'm pretty reserved at work and around authority and in places where I'm a newcomer. There's a little watch and feel things out.
Yeah, that's probably strategic. You don't just burst in at the office. That doesn't always work.
It's interesting. It doesn't, it actually, I mean, it is a good strategy, but it doesn't feel strategic at all. It just feels like I need to know what I'm dealing with first.
Yeah, gather information. I feel like that's me at parties. I'll just go in and I'm like, let me get a vibe here. I'm not bursting in to those either. Let me see where everybody's located, what's happening. I'll set up over here. There we go. Now we can get comfortable.
Yeah.
Sarah
Yeah.
breaks through the window. She's wild at the parties.
Oh, not really.
I think we have a similar vibe at parties. That's why we ended up hanging out so much.
Yeah, that could be.
And I got a couple more questions, then I'm going to hand it over to Sarah for some more detailed questions. But in general, can you say like what your strengths are and maybe what your struggles are? Like things you're especially good at, things that maybe you would delegate to someone else or you've had trouble with.
I feel like the weaknesses feel easier.
Yeah, you can go in any order that you want to go in.
I wanted to go right
Yeah.
to the weaknesses, which are definitely run a little anxious. I've kind of an anxious attachment style, sort of mistrusting. I It's funny. There's one. I was just thinking about where I am on a lazy to hardworking spectrum, and I don't think I can say. I think in some ways I can be a little. I don't think that's helpful information because there are some ways in which I'm extremely motivated and
Well, we have a 1 to 10 on
ambitious.
sedentary to highly active, and you said you're a 7, like in the direction of highly active, more active than sedentary. Does that feel right?
It does. It does. I do have more of a tolerance for, I can hang out in bed more than some. It's
You
one
got
of
a
my favorite
TV in the
places.
bedroom?
Well, like, a laptop in bed it's a great time. I think a lot of contemporary, I think that's where we are.
That could be a strength though, is being able to relax. So a weakness is that you feel like you're not motivated to get out of bed as early as other people and make things happen.
Yeah, I think that's true. I like to ease into my day. And I'm definitely like I will never. I know some people who can wake up really early and do a bunch of stuff and like go do exercise before work. That seems wild to me. I cannot imagine going to a yoga class before work or going for a run before work.
Makes no sense to me. And I like to run, but that's an end of the day thing. That means like my brain is tired. Let me go run.
Yeah. And I do. And I like to run. I love to dance. I still, I host a weekly dance club, which is just 2 hours of just throwing down in a dark room. And it's funny. It's like mostly people in their 40s and 50s who are faculty at one of the nearby colleges. So it's not. I'm just differentiating it from like a this is not a club. This is not.
This is not a rave.
No,
you're not throwing private rave parties.
No. It's great exercise. It's great. It's just a great endorphin moment. And then when I've had a regular form of exercise, it's been kind of intense. Like I was very, very, very into Bikram yoga when I was in my 20s and doing it like every day, hot, punitive yoga.
And when you say these are throw down dances, is this I don't want to say aggressive dancing. This is not just like flowing to the music. Is this, we got some energy and we're going to get it out? Like you mentioned it being a good workout.
For me, because I mean, sometimes I'll break out into just running around the perimeter of the room. And sometimes I'll get on the floor and do some kind of plank stuff. I mean, I try to keep it in an exercise zone. But yeah, some people everyone's doing a different thing, but I'm doing a kind of intense thing.
It's like a dance chaos thing happening. Everybody's creating their own dance routines.
Yeah, we don't really look at each other or talk to, like, everyone kind of goes to a corner of the studio and we're just moving.
Sarah, how are you doing over there?
I'm good.
You getting some good stuff to work with?
Yeah, I've got some questions.
Well, let's hear them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Christine, first let me ask you, I love that you put on your survey where we asked you, how would you describe your personal style? And you said cosmopolitan art witch. And I was just wondering if you could explain what that means.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about, I think that my sort of aspirational style maybe looks a little bit like a gallerist or a curator who also maybe has some crystals. So yeah, I mean, I think that I visit New York very frequently and still have a strong relationship with the city, and I do, I go to openings and readings and I'm involved in a lot of cultural social activities. But I'm definitely also living out here in these woods. And I've really tried to maintain a little bit of there's something that happens to people when they move to Western Mass. Like, things get very, very North Face, very,
Yeah.
like very trail shoe.
I grew up in the Northeast, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I take that on a little. Sometimes I like to wear like a pretty crunchy, practical shoe. But yeah, I definitely, at my job, I'm sort of considered like creatively dressed. Does that answer the question? I don't know.
Yes, and you look very creatively dressed tonight. Yeah. Can you just tell us about what you're wearing?
Sure. Yeah. I would be really excited to talk about this earring.
Yes.
So there's like a little leaf. So I think it was meant to be Adam, and I think it was a pair of earrings that were Adam and Eve, and they were in a thrift store. But and it was $1.50 for the pair. And I just loved this little object. It's very lightweight. And I asked them if I couldn't find the other one that I assume was an Eve, but it wasn't there. And they said, "Oh no, it looks like it's missing. Well, do you want that for 75 cents?" So, which thrilled me. I was like, yes.
Oh, so you just have one, and what do you have on the other ear?
Nothing. This is just hair.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of cool. You just have one earring. I like it.
Yeah, that's something that I have done for a long time. The one earring that balances out. I guess my nose ring is it's like that's where the twin is. It's like an off rhyme. It's a subsymmetry.
That's cool.
And I guess I really have a lot of off rhyme right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So also with your poetry, can you just tell us like what kind of themes that you wrote about?
Yes. So I had a book come out earlier this year. I'll tell you the title.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The title will give a very good sense of the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Allow Me to Slip on Something a Little More Hypocycloid.
What does that word mean?
So hypocycloid is if you have a smaller circle inside of a bigger circle and you roll around, the mark that that single point makes on the inside. So think of like a spirograph toy, or the kinds of shapes that it makes are these. I mean, there are hypocycloid shapes everywhere. There's the Price is Right and the Pittsburgh Steelers logo both have hypocycloid shapes in them. So anyway, so what we have is it's clearly this like funny, sexy, anachronistic, like allow me to slip on something a little more, and then I'm going to give this kind of obtuse, absurd word. Like, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Whether or not you know what hypocycloid means, it's like clearly this is going to be something ridiculous. The book is also, it's bright yellow. You open it, there's like a banana peel graphic inside, which gives a whole other like, oh, allow me to slip on some. Oh, like we're talking about that kind of like. There's a lot of really layered meaning. It's very funny and wacky, but in a very specific, it's not comedy, it's poetry, but it's
Playful.
It's playful. I go there like nothing is off. Nothing's off the table. I borrow language from stage design, architectural theory, medicine, there's a lot of art history. I mean, it's just like I'm a super magpie. I'm just magpieing language from all over and putting it together in a way that I think is interesting, and also something that is not. I'm not a poet's poet, and I didn't have a literary background, so I'm making something that I think I want poetry to be. I mean, I know what people think or don't think about it. It's not a huge part of American culture, but I love the idea of just playing with words to make something that I hope people who are not just readers of poetry can be like, oh, this is interesting. Labor.
Very cool.
There are a lot of labor themes in there too. Like it's clear that I'm like a little snarky about work culture.
Okay. Snarky. Interesting. Okay. That sounds really cool. Where can people find your book?
On the press's website or in some bookstores, and asterism.com is the distributor website. The press is called Problem with 2 R's, which I think is absolutely delightful.
Okay.
We have a problem with this spelling. And they said, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then what topics in general interest you when you're having conversations with people?
Reading other people. I like to talk about other people with people. And I like to really think about their body language and what they say in a very, very specific way, like really reading people.
Okay.
And I'm very into astrology.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I'm funny about it. And one of the reasons why I was so drawn to what you're doing here is I won't talk about astrology with someone unless I know I'm in a safe space. Like if, and most of my friends are skeptics.
Well, we've luckily created a safe space here on this show featuring a skeptic. But we have a little bonus episode after this episode, if you're able to stick around later, where we just talk astrology with your charts in mind. So that'll be a great space to let loose with any astrology you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm. How about pet peeves? What annoys you?
Hate bullies. Don't like that. Don't like if someone is domineering or competitive, they will dom me. I can't stand up to it. If they want it that badly, same. And also, I mean, yeah, I am not competitive. Like if someone really wants to play their music, fine. Go ahead.
Is that
you want it more than me?
Does that stem from not wanting confrontation?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's not wanting confrontation, but also just feeling like, but it's, yeah, I'm definitely conflict averse. Don't like confrontation. But also, I do think if somebody wants something that badly, they just probably want it a little more than I do. Obviously, there are some exceptions, but.
Have you thought about why you don't like confrontation? Is there some sort of pattern from childhood where people were very much confronting you, or I don't know. Have you ever reflected on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I think it's kind of related to some of my anxious stuff or anxious,
Sure.
I think that but I've never been able to completely pinpoint, but there was definitely some kind of insecurity that I had as a kid that has just sort of held over. And certainly much of it is overcome, but.
Do you consider yourself to be sensitive? Do you cry often?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I definitely am more of a weepy person. Like if I'm PMSing, I don't get mad. I get weepy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you like to take care of others and nurture?
Kind of. That's another tricky one. It's like kind of like how I felt like on the sedentary to active spectrum. I was like, I don't know, because I feel like I'm a little all over. I think very, very much so in a romantic relationship. But kind of only in some ways, but certainly in my way.
Okay.
You know what? I think what I'll say is I have feelings that feel very nurturing, but the action is maybe not there. Like
Sure.
I'm not actively going around nurturing.
Sure. Okay. How about, okay, random. What is the best gift you've ever given or received?
The first thing I thought of was the best gift I've received was a really good sounding Bluetooth speaker that has a great shape where there's like a handle on top. So it's really portable, and it's a little larger, so it just has a big sound. It's a big sound, it's portable. I received it for Christmas in maybe 2019. And I just use it all the time. I love taking it on trips. So I think about it. I think it came to mind very quickly because I use it so much still that I always think, man, this was such a good gift. But I think, and in terms of giving gifts, I think I'm pretty thoughtful. Things tend to be very targeted to the person. I really try to get them a book that would be very specific to their interest, or something, not just a gift basket with some nice things. But I really like to tailor gifts, which is tricky because sometimes I get a little too, like, it's too hot. Like, I get caught up. This is a terrible time of year for me because I don't, I kind of haven't started getting presents yet. And I know, I'm like,
man.
Yeah, I have so much to think about because I don't want to give just a throwaway whatever thing. Like, I want it to be really thoughtful, and I got behind.
Is it stressful or exciting?
It's very stressful.
Oh,
It's very stressful.
I hear you.
I have a lot to do before I can relax and enjoy my PTO.
Do you dress up for Halloween?
Yes.
And what were you most recently, or what are some of your favorite costumes?
I'm never something specific, ever. It is always getting dressed up for Halloween feels like this is just an expression of what some kind of truth. But yeah, I often look kind of like a shipwreck or a little clowny. There's like a lot, just like it's colorful. There's a lot. That's a very fun question.
I'm trying to envision what a shipwreck costume would look like. If you literally wanted to be a shipwreck, like, that would be impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of often looks like there's I like to fashion things that aren't meant to be worn. Like, a couple of years ago, I remember I was just like wearing the biggest, fluffiest, like, red faux fur coat, but I had a shower head wrapped around my neck. And then I'll just take bobby pins and just attach things to my, I really like an extravagant appearance. And it's kind of the one time I almost feel like my Halloween costumes are my true self.
So if it was okay to wear that in everyday life, you would wear that you would enjoy. Yeah.
I love I mean, I really think about what we wear as costume.
So every other day of the year, you're actually in costume. And on Halloween, you get to wear your real outfit.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, that's why I asked that question, because I think I have a theory about that. Yeah. Okay. And also, I want to ask you, whatever you're willing to share, feel comfortable talking about health-wise. Have you ever had any surgeries, major accidents? Also, minor things like issues with your hands, tendonitis, things like that.
So I had a wild kind of year I guess it was like the academic year that was 05, 06. So I was in my my third year of.
Well, maybe you don't have to get too specific with
Okay.
that.
Oh yeah, with dates, we don't
You're
want
not-
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I had a pituitary tumor, a benign pituitary tumor. I think
Okay.
they're relatively common, but I was young and I was while I was having, they decided they were going to surgically remove that. So I'm in college, have this endoscopic brain surgery. I'm getting looked at by the doctors, and they noticed a lump on my neck. And they were like, it's probably nothing, but after you recover from brain surgery, we'll do a biopsy. And then it turned out to be thyroid cancer. And I haven't had a thyroid in, going on 20 years.
Oh, wow. Well, good, good. I'm glad it's so that's a lot to go through. You had a tumor in your brain, and then you had thyroid cancer. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever had any issues with your hands?
No.
Okay. Do you like to talk with your hands ever?
Yes. I don't know if you saw this is actually not the most, I always have a nail situation.
I like that nail situation.
But I started doing this sort of as I haven't always done this, but I started doing this as we're coming out of the pandemic because I talk with my hands so much. And it seemed like a nice, and I often wear a lot of rings too. It's kind of like a mask that I can.
Do you ever fidget like with a pen or toys or something like that?
No,
Okay.
I don't think I'm super fidgety.
Okay. Have you ever had any issues with skin or teeth or bones?
No, but
Okay.
thinking about bones breaking or cracking is like one of the most. It's like
Makes your skin crawl?
yeah, like how some people feel that way about blood. For me, it's like splintering bones.
Oh yeah, that's the bad stuff. When you watch
Super
the
gross.
the replays of an NFL player and it's like knees don't go that way, it just makes me go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, just a couple more questions. How did you or how do you do with topics like science and math? Do those come naturally to you or do you struggle?
Um, I definitely don't struggle. I was good at math as a younger person, but then I lost interest in it. And, there was just like a point in high school where I just was like, this is not how I want to be spending my time, even though I liked geometry a lot.
You had to choose the words over the numbers.
Yeah. It's like you can't do everything, unfortunately.
Okay. And then I guess maybe last question, what kind of TV shows or movies do you end up watching?
Nothing's off the table. There are things in every genre that I can be enthusiastic about. And I also have a real range for, can watch something very quiet, art house, sleepy, conceptual, but I can also watch trash.
Real Housewives?
Like that. That's
Not that, but like that.
I haven't watched that, but I've watched Love Island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty high tolerance for those things. Often like a really good adult, like comic adult cartoon is great stuff.
Okay. All right. Um, oh, one last question. When did you get your first job? When did you start working? Were you young or was it like after college?
Young. Yeah. As soon as I could,
Once she was out of the house, she had to work. That was
Yeah.
that. I mean, that transition was probably difficult. We didn't really get into it, but when you drop out and move out, you were on your own pretty early on, and obviously had to get a
Yeah.
job.
That's all true. Yep. I did. I worked at the drive-through burger joint across the street from where I was crashing. Yeah, but even before that was my first, real on the books job. But before that, I was always, mowing lawns or babysitting or something like that. I've always been working.
Were you forced into that or did you want to do it?
I think I wanted to. I felt pretty motivated. This is something we didn't talk about, but there's been a lot of service industry scattered throughout my
Okay.
life. I even left after my first 5 or 6 years of working in higher ed admin. When I first moved here, I left having an office job with benefits to go back to bartending and serving because I enjoyed it so much. And there's something about working for tips. There's something about that kind of that I guess I like the hustle.
Do you like talking to people? Like, is that fun about serving and bartending?
Definitely.
Okay. All right.
My last question is, what were you blasting on that Bluetooth speaker?
Again, it's like really, really, from Brahms to like hard style Detroit techno. It's like nothing's off the table.
All right. The one commonality is it's not going to be what anybody else is listening to, or that you would normally expect to hear from.
That may be. That may be. Although that's not true. I mean, I feel like the kind of more, I don't know, as a 90s kid, like I love 90s alt music and the ladies of the 90s, like Bjork and PJ Harvey, Tori Amos, Erica Badu, sign me up all day long.
Late 90s, but Fiona's in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not for a callback to the cat who has not made an appearance recently.
Yeah, she's sleeping on the couch now.
All right. Well, we've got a lot of information to work with. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room briefly. Sarah and I are going to consult with each other, and then we're going to bring you back in and see if we're correct. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you in a minute. All right, Sarah. Here we are.
Right. Yep.
You ready? I'm ready to just call it.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I always
Obviously, there's
could
always
be
something.
wrong, but
Yeah.
I feel like one is speaking to me more than the other.
Are we going to hold it up and say it at the same time?
Yes.
On three or after? So I do 1, 2, 3, and then we say it.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Taurus.
Oh, you even drew a little bull.
Yeah, we're so aligned, Scott.
I mean, this one, if she wasn't a Taurus, I would be like, Sarah, you know that the astrology can't be real. Because if that's an Aries and she really, really relates to her sign and believes in astrology, and she's like, I am conflict averse. I love the texture of words. I'm like, with this interview can be 10 minutes. We're talking to a Taurus.
I love your perspective, Scott.
But anyway, it'll be fun if we're wrong because that'll make the debrief even more interesting. But everybody at home, check your charts. Who knows? Maybe you're laughing at us and we missed something completely, but we are on the same page for Taurus, and we're not going to mull around. I don't know, unless there's something you want to mention, Sarah, specifically.
No, I mean, I just, the other chart has Neptune right on the ascendant, and that can be a very creative energy, but it's a Capricorn ascendant, so I don't know about that. I really feel like everything she was, the Taurus chart has Gemini rising. That's a very word writing, oriented chart. So, and yeah, she sounds like someone who likes to luxuriate. So,
all right. Well, let's see if we have the luxuriator, or if she was an Aries in disguise. We're going to get to that right after this break. Hey, listeners, we're not just a podcast that tests astrology. We're an independent detective agency. That means we rely on you to help us keep the show running.
Exactly. By joining AstroDetectives on Patreon, you can support our mission to finally prove astrology is real.
Or, completely debunk it.
Here we go again.
One thing we can agree on, AstroDetectives is the only place you'll find astrologers and skeptics working together, like a buddy cop movie you didn't know you needed.
And trust me, detective work takes time, gathering evidence, late-night stakeouts, solving cases, especially when Mercury's retrograde.
Okay, you can't blame Mercury.
The first step is easy and free. Just follow Astro Detectives on Patreon to get access to our debrief episodes where the conversation continues after each case ends. We break down what went right and what went wrong.
And if you want to fast-track your training, become a rookie detective for only $3 a month. You'll unlock exclusive bonus episodes, plus early releases and the top secret case files sent straight to your inbox.
Or for just $1 a month, we'll make you an Astro intern. No compensation per se, but hey, you'll gain valuable detective experience and that warm, fuzzy feeling knowing you're helping us keep the lights on.
So if you like what we're doing and want to support us, head over to patreon.com/astrodetectives and join the investigation today. Welcome back, everybody. Sarah and I are on the same page, and we are joined again with our guest, Christine. Welcome back, Christine. You didn't have very much time away from us because it took Sarah and I about 60 seconds, not even that, to say, yeah, I think we're leaning in the same direction. This time, we were choosing between an Aries and a Taurus. Hopefully, you are one of those two signs. So we received two charts. One of them was an Aries sun. One of them was a Taurus. That's about as deep as my understanding goes, but Sarah was looking much deeper into the charts. And we normally have a drum roll. We never have had a drum roll. But all of our listeners, viewers have hopefully locked in their votes. And now it's time for us to find out. The anticipation is built as high as it's going to get. Christine's rooting for us, I know. Christine, are you a Taurus?
I am.
Yay!
Our winning streak continues. We are going to do the debrief episode right after this. Hopefully you can stick around and we can get into what led us in that direction and what you relate to in your chart a little bit deeper than the sun sign. But before we do that, is there anything that you wanted to plug or anything you want to leave our audience with? Words of wisdom, suggestions, or point them in any direction?
No, but yeah, I mean, I would say for this astro audience, if there are difficult transits in your natal chart or the most possible retrograde planets that a person can have,
It's you? Oh, you're raising your hand. For those listening, she raised her hand like you have very difficult placements. Okay.
Yeah, no, I have challenging placements and I have the most retrograde planets that you can have. Don't despair. It just might mean that you do you just do it in a different shape, something a little more hypocycloid.
And we'll get into that and how you made it work. So that's a real plug to go and check out the free episode, the debrief on Patreon, where we're going to dive into how Christine worked through all of those difficult placements. In the meantime, that's it for this episode. Let us know what you thought by commenting on whatever platform you follow us on. Links to our accounts are in the show notes. As always, thanks to Mike, our IT guy, and his random chartifier thingy. If you like the show and want to support it, you can visit patreon.com/AstroDetectives, where this conversation continues on the free Patreon-only debrief. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube so you don't miss the next episode. Rate and review and tell your friends. And until next time, this case is closed.